Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about productivity. Okay, how can you be super productive? What sets the most successful people apart from people who are also rans or mediocres or who are always struggling to achieve anything substantial is their ability to often produce 3 to 4 times more than average person without compromising their quality. The number one thing and the most important thing when it comes to being highly productive is all about time management. So today I'm going to share with you 10 time management tips. So if you nail these down, not in any particular order, but if you nail these down, I think you'll see your productivity going through the roof. So the number one thing, you would often heard people say, make a list, write it down. But a lot of people I've seen who are not ultra successful, who are not very productive, they take this advice very lightly. They never write their daily tasks down. People try to rely on their memory too much. What I have discovered over the years is the busier you get, the more things you're working on, the more projects you're working on, you've got to stop relying on your memory. You've got to write things down. So the first thing that I would recommend you is what I do every night is I create a to-do list. I just use a simple Microsoft task manager. In that, I have divided different folders. I've got folders regarding our academy, folders regarding different projects. Whatever I'm working on, I have those different folders. So you make your daily task, and then then you prioritize your tasks. So the tasks which are important, I put them under my day. So then I ensure that the tasks which I have got under my day, I definitely do them. So number one thing is write your task down. And second, I would say is when you're starting your day, you'll often hear people saying start with the most focus or prioritize your high value tasks. I kind of differ on that a little bit. I say start with the tasks which are easiest and shortest. The reason why I say that is that you want to do the easiest and the shortest task. It's you every time you accomplish something, you achieve something, you finish something, you get the sense of endorphins. You get these endorphins released. It's a sense of accomplishment. You feel like, yeah, I have achieved something. Now, when I say start with easy and short tasks, doesn't mean that you start with meaningless tasks. But meaningful tasks, it could be as simple as if you wake up in the morning, whatever your morning ritual is, just getting to email or your inbox and making a note, okay, these are the 10 emails that are in reply, and you might go back in the day to reply to those emails. But it's about, okay, have I made the list of all the emails that are in reply? Tick. So that's a sense of accomplishment. It could be like, okay, then second thing, it could be as simple as, have I made my bed? Done. So it's not so much about, you might think these are very menial tasks, these are very meaningless tasks, but it's not about that. It's about achieving that sense of accomplishment, which like I've done this. So you're off to a great start, up and running. Then the third I would say is, once you've got your day underway, then you move to high value tasks. Say for instance, if you have to make few important phone calls, or you have to write, if you're running an Instagram page, if you have to write an informative post for your page, you might do that the night before. But if you don't do that the night before, if you don't have your post organized for the next day, so I've got to write the post. Make sure that's your high value task for you. If it's you chasing prospects, that's a high value task. If you're working on writing content for your website or a blog, that's a high value task. If you're an influencer, if you have to shoot a video and you have to edit it, that's a high value task. So make sure, if you have to go to a bank or whatever it is, these are your high value tasks. So make sure that you're definitely doing your high value task and you do not ignore your high value task. After you've done that, this is something that you won't come across very often, but I found this is incredibly powerful. A lot of people, they confuse sitting in front of the computer and thinking they're being productive. Sitting in front of the computer alone doesn't qualify as productive. Let me explain to you why. You could be sitting in front of the computer, and before you realize there's a pop-up here, there's a pop-up there, you move your cursor, then somebody's notifications come in. So do not confuse your working hours with your productive hours. So what I do is, when I said I have a stopwatch, So when I start writing, I start my stopwatch. When I start my stopwatch, I do not, and this is another point I was going to sort of add, so I'm going to sort of combine these 2 points. One of the 10 points is that do not get distracted with social media, do not take any phone calls, do not reply to any messages. So when I am working on an important task, I turn off all the notifications, I turn off all the messages, I don't take any calls until unless I have to. Because what happens is you can very easily get distracted. So when you're working on high value tasks, important tasks, make sure you're working with single-minded focus. Do not get distracted. So people often say, oh, I work 8 hours a day, I work 10 hours a day. That is not the question. Nobody's questioning that you're putting in those many hours. The question is, how productive are you really being? And being productive starts with how many productive hours are you really doing? If your productive hours, like where you're actually producing something of worth any quality, worth any use, if you can hit even 6 hours a day, you're doing pretty well. People who are high achievers, they will try to get that around 10 to 12 hours in a day. Now, when I say that, see, you have your family commitments. You might have to pick your kid from school. You might have to drop your kid to school. You might have to take your kid to sport. So all those are also, I'm not saying that those are not important hours, but are they productive towards your business? So if you can actually have 6 to 8 productive hours towards your business, you're doing pretty darn well. And if you can get that number up to 10 to 12, then you are going to see some real growth. So I can't emphasize enough, do not confuse just sitting in front of the computer or trying to do something and think that's a productive hour. No, this is not punching in the clock. It's about being productive. So try to separate these 2 things. And the tip number 5 would be measuring your output. Okay, so if you're a writer, if you're a content writer, okay, so how many words are you writing per minute? How many articles are you pumping out? How many posts are you pumping out? If you're an influencer, how many videos are you shooting in a day? How many videos are you editing in a day? If you are a coach, if you're an online coach, if you're chasing prospects, then how many people did you reach out to? How many messages did you send? How many people you contacted? How many people you called? So what you cannot track, you cannot be objective about it. So if you can't track your progress, if you can't measure your progress, you don't know what you actually how you can improve. So make sure you measure your output, which is very, very important. Another big one is this. Tip number 6 is expect interruptions and expect disruptions. That is part of life, especially if you are married, you've got kids, or if you've got a girlfriend, or if you've got parents to take care of, you've got multiple commitments, disruptions are going to come. Interruptions, disruptions are part of life. So I understand it can be very frustrating, can be very irritating sometimes. You're in the middle of something and then something comes up. That's just life. You've got to be able to absorb those things, be flexible, and not let it throw you off. But sometimes, you're in the middle of something really important, and somebody might disrupt you. So there might be an interruption. So, and I've seen people being thrown off completely by an interruption or disruption, and then the entire day is ruined. Don't allow any interruption or disruption to throw your entire day off until unless something is really big, something is really irritating, something is super, super disruptive. Don't allow if somebody's walked in, or somebody's called you and you have to go get something for your mom. This is all part of it. You come back, you should be able to switch off, switch on. You come back, you switch on, you're back into your work mode. So that's very important. Now, tip number 7, be clear with your schedule. Okay, make sure, okay, 6 to 8, I do this. Okay, so I wake up in the morning, I do my yoga, whatever you do, whatever your ritual is. Then 7 o'clock, I hit the gym or go for a run, come back, breakfast, dropping kids to school, all this. So 8 to 9, I do this, 9 to 11, this, 11 to 1, this, and then your lunch break and whatever. Have a schedule, but make sure you're flexible. Another very important one is that this might contradict the first point is, don't be slave to the written schedule. Sometimes you might be instinctive. So I don't always have all my tasks written down, but I know that these are high value tasks and I need to focus on this. So sometimes not having something written down, and if you become slave to it in the days you don't write it down, it might throw you off. So rely on your instincts a little bit as well, but it's a fine balance. Okay. Now another thing, being clear with your schedule is that informing your parents, informing your partner, informing your colleagues, employees, boss, whatever it is. Make sure, especially with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, your husband or your wife, or with your parents, make sure you tell them your schedule. Make sure they know, okay, these are the hours. It's imperative for them to know, okay, this time to this time he's going to be doing this time to this time he's going to be doing this, and okay, 6 o'clock he's going to take Sunny to footy, or he's going to do this, he's going to go and pick up the kids from school or whatever it is. But these times nobody can interrupt you. So make sure your loved ones, they know your schedule. The problems occur when there's no clarity, there's no communication. They make sure your communication is on point. They know, okay, he's going to be doing this from this time, and then he's going to be at home with the family, whatever it is. Likewise, if once you sort of finished, and if you with your partner, then make sure that is her time or that is his time with your parents or loved ones or whatever it is. Nothing's worse than you're sitting there and then you're on the phone and then you're trying to do this and somebody's trying to disturb you, all this. So make sure you have clarity and communication. So the most productive people, they generally try to have very clear communication. I suffer from that. That is a constant struggle for a lot of people. So my advice is, make sure that you try to have as clear communication as possible. The last one is, the couple of more ones that are left, is make sure you take the recharge breaks. It's very important to work for 8, 9, 10 hours on the go straight away. Like a lot of times you will get automatic breaks, something you get up for lunch or tea or whatever it is. But if not, if you're the kind of a person who needs to take half an hour break just to recharge yourself or take a nap or whatever it is, don't feel guilty about it. And I know people who are high achievers who work really hard, they can often feel very guilty about taking breaks. But if you really focus, laser focused, and taking half an hour nap or 1 hour nap is going to sort of help you, then don't feel guilty. Last one, which when it comes to time management, productivity, is which isn't talked about very often, is make sure your rest, recovery, and health is on point. Make sure your weight is under control. Make sure you're healthy. Make sure your eating habits are great. Make sure you get your 6 to 8 hours of sleep, whatever you need. Make sure you rest up, you recover. Because if you are constantly tired, you're overweight, you're not exercising, your health isn't good, then guess what? That's going to start permeating into your productivity. So because to be productive, my average day is 14 to 16 hour day. So if you ask any of my team members, they'll tell my days. I'm up from 8 a.m. till 2 a.m. So my average day is 16 to 18 hours a day. And the only way I can accomplish that is that I don't drink. I drink very rarely. I don't smoke. I don't do any drugs. I eat relatively healthy. I try to exercise as much as I can. I manage my stress really well. So all these your mental peace, your physical health, your rest, recovery, stress management, these are incredibly important for you when it comes to being productive. So if you are stressed out, you're physically tired, you're 20 kilos overweight, you've got really shitty habits, obviously your hormones are going to be out of whack, your cortisol is going to be through the roof, and then you're doing things to compensate for that lack of energy. You're taking stimulants like coffee or smoking or whatever it is, then that's a downward spiral. So before you realize, you're going to sort of burn out in 5 or 10 years, and then you're going to have a heart attack, God forbid, and then you've got a whole lot of different problems on your hands. So rest and recovery is as important. Rest, recovery, health, exercise, training, stress management, all these things, lifestyle choices, they all amalgamate into one. So my advice is, if you, as I said, not necessarily in any particular order, but if you take all these things into account and you write them down and see, okay, where are you lacking, sort of make a list, okay, I can improve on this. And as you improve slowly and gradually, and you'll start to see your productivity rise without a doubt. So my advice is, write them down, see where you're lacking, which are the areas you can improve, and you start working on those areas, and man, sky's the limit. So hope you enjoyed that video. On that note, Leave your comments below if there's anything else you want to talk about. As I said, comment below and make sure you don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, or whatever. And I'll see you soon again. Thank you.